All right. So, first of all, happy Valentine's Day to you, Sandy, and happy Valentine's Day to everybody who's listening to us.
Happy Valentine's Day. And I was just telling Asha that I got these beautiful earrings. Let me see if I can show them to you from my daughters this morning. They are pink, so I had to wear pink today. So happy Valentine's Day to everybody. And I hope that you guys didn't forget flowers or candy or whatever you need. And Asha, today's another special day. Your book came out on Valentine's Day.
Can you believe that? Yeah, I'm super excited about that. First of all, I love your earrings, and your daughter got them for you, right? Your daughter has great taste. They look beautiful, and the hot pink looks really good on you.
Thank you. Well, congratulations on your book. Are you really excited? I mean, what timing? I mean, the timing of your book is incredible. Everybody wants to know about AI right now. So you've got this perfectly timed. What's your favorite part about your book?
What I like is, first of all, you're right. It's such a right time to talk about AI. And what I like is that the timing was so good that people are talking about AI, and my book explains what AI is and how you can implement it within your business. So makes it real. So what I love is that how simple it is to understand what companies are doing. So what I've done is the first part of the book, I've kind of told stories about companies who are using AI and really making it work for them, like Netflix and Domino's and Starbucks. So I tell stories in the first half of the book about success stories. And then the second part of the book, I simplify it in 4 steps. And I say, how can companies use AI? Start your journey with just collecting the right data or accessing the big data that's available to you, and then converting that into simple machine learning. Take baby steps to really start implementing what is important to you. So really, how do you understand what's your priority? Where can you get the most value? And what I love about the book is that I've given simple equations of creating the data performance indexes. How do you know what kind of a data can create performance? And you have a measurement. So the equation, I think, is really powerful. And talking about the AI flywheel, I think it is such a great concept of building AI applications and applying it, in your real life. So I think there's tons of takeaway in the book. And when you get your copy and you read it, let me know how you like it. Always tag me, or send me notes or feedback. I would love that.
Well, I already love it because, I came from Amazon and I love the Amazon flywheel. And the other thing that really impressed me, Asha, is that you spent 4 years researching, understanding, like this isn't, okay, AI's hot, let me get the book out there. You've been working on this. You saw this, you looked around the corner and you saw that AI was going to be so special. So I think that's another reason you definitely should get a copy of this book.
Thank you so much. Yep. No, I think lots of hard work, lots of real experiences from my 30 years of career, and really seeing what works and what doesn't work. So lots of tidbits. But today, Sandy, this topic, which I'm going to talk to you about, is what was the learning from Davos, your trip, is really what came from WLDA's leaders. All the WLDA leaders were talking about what is the learning, what is the leaders in Davos are talking about, and what should we know? And I think just a debrief on, first of all, how was your trip to Davos?
Well, first of all, it was spectacular. If you haven't been to Davos, it is the tallest city in Europe. So you can't get any higher than Davos as a city. Obviously, as a mountain peak, you can, but as a city. So it's just a spectacular place to go. And one of the things I love about it is that, the streets are really snow-packed because they're really into climate and sustainability. So no salt, no sand. So the streets are always snow-packed, not always a great experience, but it just shows their commitment to what they're committed to sustainability. They support that. And then they take the promenade, Asha, which is like the main drag, and businesses buy out all these little shops, little stores and everything. And that's where they present a lot of their offerings, a lot of the side events, which are actually as amazing as the main show, which is the World Economic Forum. So I always look at and see what's there. I have to say, a lot of the little shops were about enterprise AI, the metaverse, blockchain. as you walk down the street, I wish you could just have this visual of walking down the street, and instead of seeing coffee shops and restaurants, you're seeing, enterprise AI, data, a blockchain, metaverse, just all over the place. So it's very energizing just being in Davos and experiencing the entire environment.
That's really cool. I know it's like, as you think about this conference, it's not just the conference, but all the conversation around innovation that's happening. What World Economic Forum is really known for is the thought leadership in solving big problems. So can you talk a little bit about your experience at Davos? What were the big world-changing conversations that was happening during that time?
Yeah, so I'm going to first talk about what I'd say are the non-tech ones, because, they have kind of this tech side and then they have the broader side. So for me, one of the ones was just talking about the world and the economic environment. I got to see the First Lady of the Ukraine speak about the impact of what's happening on her country, for example. A lot of world economics and professors talking about inflation and what was going on there. So it was a ton of focus overall on what's happening in the world, what's driving inflation. How can we really, I want to say world peace. They didn't say it that way, but that's what they were looking for. Is in this day and time, it's kind of shocking that we're still having this focus on war, right? That's going on in the space. So the economic health of the overall globe was discussed many, many times, so many sessions on that piece. I would say the mood there around the economic health of the world was very somber. So while there were some regions that are doing really well, right? Like Middle East, for example, lots of growth, lots of investment. If you take Europe, very somber, very, very concerned about things. And so it was really like this dichotomy of where you went. On that promenade as well, different countries, different regions also have their setups. And you could feel the difference walking into what they were talking about, what their focus was on. So for example, Korea, who's doing quite well today, they actually announced their Seoul metaverse at the conference, and they did that to get a better connection with their citizens. You could feel the energy. Walking into Japan, for their economic health, they talked a lot about their aging population and how they're using robotics and wellness to really take care of that aging population, because there's a lot of respect there, for that generation as well. So it was really fascinating to not just hear the words, but see it echoed in actions, as you went from different places. I would say this. Go ahead. I was just going to say the second big conference, I believe, is a big conference theme around the world was sustainability. And, in the past where this was cheered and everybody was like, yes, sustainability, sustainability, sustainability. This year, it was greeted with a lot of, how would I say it? A lot of resistance, a lot of concern. Again, and it's linked back to the economic health, especially in Europe, energy. Like, are we moving too fast to sustainability? Can we get there with electric cars and solar power? Or in the meantime, are prices and inflation to get the sustainability going to go up so high that it's not really producing the positive result? And so it was really interesting on panels for the first time, hearing not just, yes, we have to do sustainability, but hearing that counter argument from country leaders. Yes, but we have to take it slow. Yes, but we have to do the right thing for our citizens. Yes, but whereas in years past, it would have been, yes, sustainability is the right movement, and that's what we have to focus in on. So, I was really interested in that. And then also a lot more focus on not just sustainability. Yay, sustainability. It was, okay, now how do we actually do it? Like, what are the steps we take? Not just the marketing, but how do we measure it? What do we do? And how do we do that? From, corporations and big manufacturing plants looking at digital twins, all the way down to, how, if you think about sustainability, even like buying an NFT, and are you carbon neutral when you make that purchase? So all the way from the big factory digital twin to you made a single purchase. What did you do to make that carbon neutral?
So I'm going to first talk about all those topics are important topics, but let's start with economic impact. And I think big technology companies are worried about the economic impact, and they've done a lot of layoffs, and we've seen that happen, which I think is unfortunate. I hope, and we all wish that we are constantly having growth, but at some point we have to stabilize and continue thinking about growth in a sustainable manner. But also I think that the economic issues due to war or thinking about world peace, which is an important topic. When you talk about metaverse, and Sandy, you're like a thought leader in Web3 metaverse world. I just love having Seoul having a metaverse announcement. When you try to bring this world closer together, right? The whole global economy is becoming tighter and tighter, or more engaged with each other. Do you see the impact of world peace becoming more realistic with having technology used for good? In metaverse, you could be sitting with somebody in Seoul or watching the Seoul games, sitting in any country, and feel that you're there. So, a lot of time people talk about, oh, how is AI for good or bad, or technology good for bad, or science good for bad? I want your perspective on metaverse and how the world peace, or at least bringing the world together, how technology can really help and create that space for us.
Yeah, so while economic health and sustainability were kind of the overarching, I would say, themes for the World Economic Forum, they also do these tech themes. And I do believe, Asha, that the tech themes were selected to support what the global themes were. And so the three areas that they picked were AI, which I know you love with your book, sorry, this way. AI was one, let's take the problems of Japan. How can AI help in the medical field? Can it progress forward, and can it make suggestions so that people in Japan who are aging have the right knowledge and the right wellness routines in order to, have a good end of life, for example. Metaverse was one of the other tech themes. And the metaverse, I do think, like the Korean Seoul announcement about the metaverse city, I think really tied into that, because what they were looking at are, how do they provide additional services for their citizens? And then the final one, which of course I liked, was digital identity, because, digital identity and owning your own data plays a role in that as well. So I think all three of the tech themes really support world peace and, health overall, and sustainability. Think about sustainability. Even the World Economic Forum announced a metaverse where people now didn't have to travel. Think about going to Davos. So you first have to take a plane to get to Switzerland, to Zurich. That obviously has a lot of impacts on the climate. And then it's a 2.5-hour drive from Zurich up to the mountains of Davos. And then of course you're, eating and drinking. Imagine the difference in the impact to the climate if you did have that metaverse World Economic Forum. Provides more accessibility, provides more sustainability, brings more people together so they feel included. The World Economic Forum gets a lot of slack for not listening to the common person. It's just for the very rich. I think there's so many things that could be accomplished by looking at those different elements.
You talk about, and of course, my favorite topic is AI, because I feel there's so much you can do with AI in healthcare, in education. Just the whole ChatGPT conversation is talking about how the education is going to change, and how great that is, that it's forcing us to change and innovate and think differently and reinvent our systems, which hasn't changed for how many years, right? And so we have all been crying about changing healthcare, changing education, changing transportation. And all that is possible because we are now entering this new world of science with AI, metaverse, and digital twin. So I think those three topics are such a great interest to all our members, WILDA members, and the data and AI leaders around the globe, that I think it is such a great time for all of us to really jump in and be creative and be truly a leader. And I always say that being a leader doesn't mean that you have a title. You could have any title. You could be a leader because you're creating or innovating or using science for good. You know, my biggest frustration, Sandy, always being in tech world was, as an engineer, I would build something, it would be shelved. How many of our application got shelved and did not get used? Now we are entering in a world where machine learning will help improve the algorithm. It's not perfect. Definitely, it's not perfect. We saw that with Google and Microsoft recent issues, but at least we are now working on things that can be applied to by common people in our day-to-day life, which is, I think, is a great, great opportunity. The second thing which you spoke about was sustainability. And I think there are so many different pieces of sustainability. As an AI leader, I always say, start with just, the gender piece. You don't have to be everywhere. But if you take a small piece of sustainability and you start with anything that is close to your heart. And I love what you said, it's a balance, right? It's not all in where you are not thinking about like economic impact, but you're not all out that you're not thinking about sustainability. So how do you, as a leader in data and AI, especially when you're working with data, if it's metaverse, digital twin, or AI, as a data leader, you need to be more conscious about how you're going to create an impact and how do you create that balance. So I love those two themes. Anything for, so I have to share with you a news. We will be coming up with a huge announcement on March 3rd. We are going LinkedIn Live, and we're going to be talking about building a space for, as you said, in World Economic Forum gets a lot of, slack about only for wealthy. WILDA leaders is for senior leaders. So our WILDA leaders is all about C-suite leaders who can create an impact. The whole mission when I started WILDA was really to bring C-suite leaders so they can create a change within their organization. And thought was that the C-suite leader with 10,000 employees can create that motion within their organization. And so we started with the leadership. But with this whole layoffs, one of our members, Tracy Ring, who came up with this idea about what are we doing for these leaders who are getting laid off? They're good citizens, they're good professionals, they're smart people. What can we do for them? And what can WILDA leaders do for them? So we are actually launching WILDA Nation, in which we will be inviting the people who are not yet qualified for WILDA leaders, but can join WILDA Nation and learn from our leaders, see the role models, and learn what the opportunities are or how to really engage. So our goal would be to then, March 3rd, we will be making a big announcement and we'll be opening the doors to WILDA Nation to make sure that there's enough women and we continue paying forward. And I think a lot of us, Sandy, the leaders have spoken about what can we do and how can we pay forward. So I'm really excited about that.
I also love that. I love quotes. And one of my favorite quotes is, if you can see it, you can be it. So the WILDA Nation is basically leading the way by example, letting other women see this success so that they can also then grasp it and be it. I think that's a great initiative, Asha. Congratulations on that for sure.
Thank you. And listen, we'll be calling all of you to be able to come and pay forward.
I gotta figure that. I gotta figure that for sure. I do go back to the AI topic at Davos just for a second, where you kind of led off as well. One of the things that I found quite different this year about the AI discussion, in past years on AI, people were very fearful. All the conversations were, how do I ensure that AI is not taking my job? Like, is AI geared for putting everybody out of business and not have any workers and having everything done by a community? I mean, by the set of, robots, if you would, right? But one of the things that I really liked about the conversation this year and the way that it pivoted is the whole focus was on AI as a co-pilot, not a replacement, or AI as your partner. So if you're an entrepreneur, I went to a couple of founder meetings. If you're an entrepreneur, consider this AI tools your partner, just as you would have a co-founder. You're going to seek advice. You got to provide guidance, but they're going to help you. You're not going to listen to everything they say, but it's going to help you perform better and do things more effectively and more efficiently. I love the way that turned around the topic. And we even heard from some CEOs, which was really interesting, Asha, that they had tried ChatGPT and they had asked ChatGPT to create their KPIs for their business.
Wow.
Like, show me your key performance indicators. And most of them on the panel said, we didn't use them as is, but every single CIO said, as a partner, this AI as a partner, every one of them said they added one KPI that they hadn't thought of that came out of ChatGPT, which was to me a big wow, that's really, really fascinating. And then we had another panel on AI where people said, if you're thinking about AI just for business, don't. Also think about it for personal. And so there was a whole panel on all these personal use cases where AI was coaching on your wellness. You saying, oh, this is what I ate today. Oh, you need to have some more vitamin D, or you need to do this today differently. Or, today I did my, my workout with my weights, right? Okay, well, tomorrow you need to do cardio, just to give you advice and reminders. You're sitting too long, all those type of things. So I thought it was fascinating to consider AI's impact, not just in the business world, but also the impact that AI factor can have on your personal life as well. And then the final, I think, really big thought was, because AI is helping people work differently, there needs to be different training in school, right? Like Midjourney, like you can create, illustrations and designs with Midjourney. How do you do that effectively? With Dolly, you can do really nice copy editing. How do you do that effectively? You can do music differently. How do I use that tool effectively? So it really also brought up, now that AI is a partner, now that AI is that co-pilot, where do I learn about how to use the tool effectively? So I thought those were really excellent points to think through, and a big pivot from the last Davos, where it was about fear, to this year, where it's about, oh, this is really cool. How do we use the tools?
I love what you said about, really see AI as your partner, because it's an advisor to you. It's kind of giving you recommendation on the go. And I also think that the fear is gone because people are now using it in their day-to-day life. I think the whole AI to consumer has really helped open the door to so much more that can be done. And I think a lot of businesses are going to start using AI to even how they converse with their consumers, which I think is going to be a game changer.
Yeah, and one of the panels, in the Web3 metaverse space, which I live today, AI is really important because the ethos of Web3 is community. It's all about community. Well, if you're going to have a really strong community, you have to be in there and engaging 24/7. And if you think about it, most of the Web3 metaverse companies today are startups. Like, how do they staff 24/7 all these languages? Well, one of the panels that was given for entrepreneurs was around how AI can be used as a community manager, obviously not taking the place of humans, but supplementing humans so that you could be a strong but mighty team with the help of AI, managing communities, helping abstract kind of who the top community members are, that top 0.1% that you can use in maybe a different way, in a token gated way. And how do you, identify patterns in that community, and maybe even have subgroups. So, I'm always writing about tech, and someone's already writing about sustainability, and someone else is writing about personal use cases. How do you leverage all that data? Because it's too much for a human. How do you use AI again as a partner in that community aspect? So I was very excited about the potential that was talked about, except for one thing. And that one thing was, and this was in common across Web3, the metaverse, and AI, all new areas, all new technologies, too few women. So they gave numbers, in the metaverse and Web3, it's only 8% women. In AI, it's only 15. So it's not really that much better. And so if you think about that, Web3 and the metaverse is shaping the next generation of the internet. AI is how we're going to all have a partner to make our lives better. And if women aren't involved in those two areas, we're going to miss out. We're not going to get the best next internet, and we're going to have bias in the training model. You talked about the training models. We're going to have bias in the training models because they're not going to have that broader thought process. So one of the sessions I went to was a brainstorming on not just how we talk about this for these next two kind of moving technologies, but how do we take action? And I used WLDA as one of the examples of taking action on the AI side, bringing more women in, not making it more accessible, not making it scary. I'd love your thoughts there too. How do we get more women in the space?
And that's what I was worried about. And that's why this whole organization was started, because my worry was we live in the physical world, which was designed by men. And we are building a digital world, which is also getting designed by men, which is a problem. And that's why I really think, Sandy, that we need to make sure the women who've gotten there are strong. The women who've gotten there are seen. And because if you're not seen, if you're not branded, and if you're not the thought leader, you won't be able to inspire other women. Number one, I had a senior leader from a large, I would say Fortune 10 companies, and Sandy Tina, and she was saying to me that the way she got inspired and felt that she could make it happen is when she was in her early 20s, she heard a senior woman leader who shared her story and spoke about how she made it happen. And I think it's so important. And I think that's why the women, our organization, Women Leaders in Data and AI, I focused on the C-suite leaders first, because we can make sure that the C-suite leaders are secure and can be the role model and be the voice for all the other women. We have somewhere to start. There are a lot of other organizations who are doing amazing work in building pipeline, like Women in Data, Women in AI, Women in Data Science. But there was a gap. There was no organization that was focusing on senior leaders. And once we have the senior, and that's why we have speaker series, we have WLDA at Work circles, where we are trying to bring these women together to make sure they are strong and they can be the role model. So I think that's the number one thing. If you have women who've gotten there in your organization, make sure you take care of them. You hear their voice. You make sure you elevate when they deserve it, which a lot of times women leaders have the value and they're bringing the value to the table, but they're dismissed. So make sure if you have women leaders in your organization, you're being inclusive. You make sure you hear their voice and don't repeat what they're already saying. So make sure you acknowledge these senior leaders. And then comes the next level, which is what we are trying to do with building WLDA Nation, is then these women can go out and be the champion. If these women are not strong, who are already there, and if the organizations are not taking care of them and hoping to retain them and make sure that I have to congratulate Unstoppable Domains to actually see the leadership in you and make sure that they are investing in you. And that's what we need to do. We need to make sure that the organizations are investing in the women leaders that they have already obtained or are employed. And then the second step is that these women then become the role model, and we need male allies. And that's why we have male allies, because we can't do this without our male allies. We need men and women come together to make sure that we want a better digital world for our next generation, our generations after. When you and I are gone, hopefully we leave WLDA around so that there is enough women, there's enough manpower between men and women coming together to build a better future for the world. And that's really what my hope is.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, that is one of the reasons why I'm part of WLDA. I love being part of this focus, on AI and being able to meet with amazing women. I see Maria left a comment in LinkedIn. We love Maria. She's another great inspirational leader. And again, if you can see it, you can be it. It's because of your inspiration. I also started a group called Unstoppable Women of Web3 and the Metaverse. So again, kind of co-groups, WLDA is part of that as well. We
Yes.
just won Best of Show at CES, and then we just won 2 loveys for our metaverse. We built a metaverse headquarters as well, which
Oh, that's
again,
amazing.
these 2 areas are just molding together. If I think about the metaverse pieces at Davos, every company now needs to pay attention to the metaverse. That was kind of the message that came out of Davos, is that it will change the game for commerce, and it's going to change the game for community. They showcased over 100 use cases. You talked about your AI use cases, hundreds of use cases. And, think about the metaverse does a much better job of engagement, reaching a new audience, and retention, and the power of the metaverse with AI. So think about it. Right now, we're using AI to generate avatars, which becomes your reputation or your digital identity throughout the metaverse. We're using AI in the community world of the metaverse. So these 2 things, I think, are going to quickly merge together and support each other as we go forward. On Super Bowl Sunday, I was multitasking, which, Asha, I love to do. So I was watching the game, but then Tam had a metaverse fashion show.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, so they had like an invite only. I got an invite only. So I got to watch the in real life fashion show in Hong Kong from the metaverse. And she used not just all the metaverse technology, but also AI to guide us along in that journey. And it was really cool. If we talk back to sustainability, I didn't have to travel to Hong Kong. I was actually on the screen, and I actually had people reaching out to me on LinkedIn saying, "Oh, I saw you at the fashion show in Hong Kong. I didn't know you were here. Could we have coffee? Could we do this?"
Oh
It was really fascinating that you were almost like you were there in the midst. So I do feel like all of these technology areas are kind of converging. And so AI being the toolkit and kind of the driver, metaverse being engagement, Web3 being for that digital identity. And I think that's why those 3 were all named as the core focus areas at Davos this year.
Well, thank you so much, Sandy, for all that information. I know we are up on time, but lots of great tidbits. The 3 technologies, I would say that if you are in it, invest more in it. If you're not in it, invest in it. Build a diverse team. We always stand for making sure diversity is critical right now to building these technologies. If we don't build these technologies right, it's going to affect our future. So invest in it the right way. If you have any additional information you want for women leaders in data and AI, reach out to me or Sandy. We are here to help and guide you in any way we can. Look out for LinkedIn on March 3rd. We will be talking about WLDA Nation, and we'll be opening the doors to anyone and everyone who wants to learn and grow. So it'll be a bigger community, and WLDA leaders will be investing in it. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. If you read the book, please send me some comments or notes. Or if you have a copy, take a picture of the book with yourself and tag me on LinkedIn. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Sandy, for all your time. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Bye-bye.